Everly's POV.
Macy dropped the vial off later that night. However, when I heard the knock and opened the door, I was stunned to see Tatum with her. I knew they were close, but to see him with her so late at night made me wonder if more was going on than just being friends with benefits. Macy, noticing my shock at seeing him, she speaks. "Oh, we weren't. Tatum just came with me just in case. You woke Tatum up at 1 in the morning to see my dad? You sure he wasn't already at your place?" I laugh, raising an eyebrow. I don't understand why she was being so secretive about it. No one would care, but I knew Macy still hated Pax, so I wondered if it was because he was one of Valen's pack members. I let them in and walked into the kitchen to make coffee. "Hey, Mace," Valen says as he comes into the kitchen to help. Only then do I realize that Valen would see it by getting my hidden coffee out. He snatches it off the counter. "No caffeine. You're pregnant." Valen growls, and I try to take it off him, but he holds it above his head. "It is morning. I am tired, and I have to be up soon. So there is no point in me going to bed now." I growl at him. "You will make them come out with 6 heads." He snarls. I shake my head at his logic. Caffeine was fine. Macy, taller than me, snatched it from him and stuck her tongue out at him, handing it to me. "It won't hurt her." "But why aren't you going to bed?" she asks. I point to all the files on the coffee table. "Have a meeting with Dad's accountant tomorrow. I'm going over everything first to figure some shit out," I tell her, and she sighs. "Make me one, I can help." "Don't you have to get home to Taylor?" "Nah, Mom has her," Tatum says, and I look at him and smirk before eyeing Macy, and her face heats. "Just friends, huh? But his mom now has Taylor?" I ask, knowing Macy didn't trust anyone with Taylor other than her own mother and brother, Zoe and I. "Oh, for God's sake, babe!" "Just tell her already," Tatum says with a shake of his head. I look at Macy expectantly. "Nothing. There is nothing to tell at all. Crystal is just babysitting because I had dinner with his mother," Macy says, and Tatum growls. "Macy is moving in with me. Mom had Taylor for a sleepover while I moved all her crap. I filled a damn trailer with toys." "Toys," Tatum says, shaking his head. "I swear if there is a troll or smurf toy on this earth Taylor doesn't have, I will eat my left kidney. Bloody crazy the amount of toys that girl has. We could use a break so we can move the rest tomorrow," Tatum says. "She doesn't have that many toys," Macy says, rolling her eyes at him. "That trailer we fitted an entire living room in and bedroom, Macy. She has too many toys. My house only has 3 bedrooms. One room will be just for all of her toys." I snicker at their quarrel. Yet I knew Macy spoiled the crap out of Taylor. I did the same with Valerian, although he never asked for anything. However, when he did, he always got it. It was the same with Zoe. After the hotel kicked off, we made up for lost time, so I understood it. For so long, we scraped coins to make ends meet, and often that meant no toys and buying only the staples. So once we had money, we spent it on the kids, giving them what we couldn't before I got it. I was the same with Valerian, yet that kid was limited with what he liked, so his toy hoard wasn't even a quarter of what the girls had. He wanted order and regularly cleaned out his toys to make room for new ones. "So you're moving in with Tatum?" I ask, pouring the hot water into the mug. Valen growls and reaches for my cup, but I glare at him. "Oh, here," Macy says, distracting him by giving him the vial. Valen held it up to the light, and I could see the metallic silver liquid inside. "By the way, how did your ultrasound go?" "I forgot to ask earlier," Macy says, looking at Valen. It was Macy, and I knew she wouldn't blab to the world, and neither would Zoe, and Valen told his father already. "You jinxed me," I tell her with a giggle. "Jinxed you?" she says, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Twins?" "Triplets," Valen says behind her, and her lips part as she looks at my non-existent stomach. "Girl, you gonna be huge, like a beach ball huge." She laughs. "Wow, bet that was a shock," Tatum says before coming up behind Macy. His arms encircle her waist as he buries his face in her neck. Yep, you can say that again. Everly will get her tubes tied after. Really? I scoff. Yes, I am not being neutered, Valen says. Yeah, I'm with Valen. No man wants someone cutting into their junk, Tatum agrees. But someone should cut into mine. They will already have to. How many triplets have you heard of being born vaginally? Valen asks, and I think he had a point, but why do I have to get it done? Nope, if I'm carrying them, you can sacrifice your balls. Your balls caused it. I tell him, sipping my coffee. No way. Why? Macy demands, just as outraged. Because I don't want my balls cut off. They don't cut off your balls, Macy says, shaking her head. I am not losing my manhood, typical man response. Idiot, and I am not getting my tubes tied. You will either get the snip or wear condoms. Valen pulls a face. It doesn't feel the same, I shrug, uncaring. He was getting it done if he didn't want any more after these ones. Bloody damn litter. Bet Valerian was excited, I sigh. Let's just hope they are boys, I tell her, and she laughs. I hope you have 3 girls. Hey, don't say that. You jinxed me last time, so close your damn swallow hole. I can assure you she doesn't swallow, Tatum says, and Macy elbows him. Prick, will you shut up, go annoy Valen and compare dicks, or whatever it is you men do. She snaps at him. Tatum chuckles, but doesn't leave her, and Valen grabs a beer out of the fridge and passes Tatum one. Maybe you can convince Macy to let me put a baby in her, Tatum says, wiggling his eyebrows at me. Fat chance. I like the babies I can hand back to their mothers. Taylor is enough for me, she says, and Tatum pouts. Just 1. Macy shakes her head. 2, Tatum says. How did we go from 1 to none and now 2, she says, shaking her head. You want kids, go find someone else. When I agreed to move in with you, I told you that I didn't want any more children, she tells him. Yet I knew why that was, which made me wonder if Macy told him. Macy couldn't have children. She had a hysterectomy with Taylor because she bled out and nearly died. Macy? I whisper once he wanders over to Valen in the living room. I know I have to tell him, but... She looks over her shoulder at him. He will leave when he does. She sighs. Is that why you didn't want anyone to know you moved in with him? She shrugs, just enjoying it while it lasts. Once he finds out, he will run for the hills. They always do. I smile sadly. In the last 5 years, Macy has had 2 serious relationships. She even got engaged once, but both left her once they found out she couldn't have children. She told the first one just before they moved in together, and he walked out as quickly as he came into her life. The other she told him the day after they got engaged, and the same thing. I don't think Tatum is like that, but you need to tell him before he gets his hopes up? She chews her lip nervously as I tell her. I prayed I was right. Macy nods and sighs before running her fingers through her hair and grabbing her mug. Come on, let's sort these papers out, she says, wandering over to the coffee table. Valen was on the phone with Doc, who was waiting for the vial. They spoke for a few minutes before he stood and looked at Tatum. Want to come for a drive with me to the hospital to drop this off? Valen asks, and Tatum gets up off the couch. You have been drinking, Macy scolds. I have had 1 mouthful, he says, passing his almost full bottle to Macy. She takes it and looks at it. Fine, go then. Can you bring me some Pringles back? Tatum laughs and leans down as she looks up at him. He pecks her lips. Yes, be back soon, he tells her. Valen kisses me before walking out with Tatum, leaving us alone. Macy and I go over the paperwork for the pack, and I sigh, finding it getting worse the more we dig. This one here, Macy says, holding out a slip of paper. I take it from her and glance at it. It was an old arcade that was in the red. Yeah, what about it? Want to sell it? She asks, and I glance at it. You want to buy an arcade? She shrugs. Zoe and I were discussing pooling our savings and buying something to fix up and invest in, she says. But we have the hotel? I ask her. No, you have the hotel, Zoe has her flat out the back of it, and I have nothing, not that I am complaining. I know we have always split the hotel income, but I want something to leave to Taylor, same with Zoe. So we have been looking into it. I chewed my lip, feeling bad now she said it like that, but I was initially planning to cut the girls in before I got my father's pack. But maybe I still could. You can have it if you clear the electricity bill on it. Just pay what is outstanding on it. It just shut down, but hold off buying anything with Zoe for a bit. I want to speak to Valen first. You're giving it to me? She asks, glancing down at the arcade. It was run down but owned outright by the pack, but the electricity bill was nearly 10K. And the machines needed work, so Dad just shut it down, and it has sat vacant since. 10K, and it's mine? She asks, checking the electricity. I didn't know how much she had exactly, but I knew she could cover it easily. One thing all of us were good at was saving. The only time we really splurged was with the kids. If you want it, you can keep all the crap in it, too, I tell her. I had no use for an arcade and had no idea what state it was in, but that would be one less bill to pay. Valen won't have a problem with that? She asks. No. But I may have something else if you want it, but I need to speak to Valen first. Are you sure? The building is worth a lot more than that. It has a bowling alley in it and is on the main drag? She asks. Macy, if you and Zoe want it, or even just you, cover the electricity bill and it is yours, I tell her. It would only help me out if she took it off my hands. I had no time to fix it up and also the funds. If she wanted to put her time and money into it and save me the headache, that was fine by me. Thank you, she whispers, looking at its portfolio. Now, I just needed to speak to Valen about the hotel. Maybe I wouldn't have to sell it to Valen if he let the girls chip in as partners. They know what it holds in value, and it could help cover the rebuild cost. Besides, they helped fix the place. It seemed only fair they also owned it along with me. But the rest of this crap, I was in way over my head with.
Valen's POV.
Tatum and I went and dropped the vial off last night. Doc split it into samples before sending it off to the labs, and this morning I was taking Everly to the accountant, deciding after last night I didn't want her on her own anywhere. Everly had been nervous all morning about something, and I could tell she wanted to ask me something. She was weird when I got home last night, making me wonder if she argued with her father or something. Glancing at her, I decided to ask her because her weird mood was freaking me out. What's wrong? I asked as we pulled up at a set of traffic lights. I am worried about the accountant, she answers. Why? Because I wasn't expecting you to come with me, my brows pinched together wondering what she meant. It's that bad? No. But I did something when I inherited everything, and I was hoping it remained hidden, but now you will find out, she says. What did you do? I got even. And also I was angry at you, so just don't be mad. But it was a lot of money, and I had this stupid idea, but it may piss you off. She shakes her head. You won't tell me, she shakes her head. And you told no one? And how much money did my mother leave you? Zoe and Macy know. We had a good laugh about it, but I wasn't expecting you or anyone to find out. I was going to ask her what it was when she spoke again. I also wanted to ask you about the hotel. Macy said something to me last night, but I worry it may upset you also, she says. Why would it upset me? It's your hotel, I tell her. Well, legally, yes. But it was your mother's. You don't want to continue the rebuild or sell it? I ask, wondering what she is getting at. My mother left it to Everly. I would never interfere with the hotel. Mom wanted her to have it. Therefore Everly was free to do as she pleased with it. Though I hoped she wouldn't sell it off. No. Not sell it, I will still own it, but... My brows furrow, and I accelerate as the light turns green. Just say it, Everly, I tell her, and she sighs. I was planning on doing it anyway before you came back into the picture. But now you are, I thought I should ask, she says. It's your hotel. That doesn't change, so tell me what you want to do. I am running out of funds for the rebuild. The insurance didn't cover everything, and the savings set aside for emergencies are running out. Everything else is locked down in term deposits and trust funds, which I don't want to touch unless necessary. I know you offered to help, but you refuse to take money from me. I growl. We have a kid and live together, yet she never lets me pay for everything. She is always contributing even though I don't want or need her money. But hearing all this made me wonder how much she did have. I don't want a handout, and I don't want to owe anyone, she says. I'm your mate, I tell her. I have never needed help, and I don't want it, but Macy and Zoe have been pooling their money to invest. You want to split the place 3 ways? Change ownership into 3 titles? I ask, and she nods, glancing at me before she starts nervously defending herself. I know it was your mother's, and I will still own it. But Macy was telling me last night, she and Zoe were looking into buying something investment-wise to leave to their kids, and I was already going. I think it's a good idea. I cut her off, and she turns in her seat to look at me. You do? She actually seemed shocked. It may have been my mother's, but you 3 girls built that place. But I have one condition if you go ahead, I tell her, and she clicks her tongue. I'm not losing ownership, just partnering up, she starts to say. Give it to them, I tell her, and she gapes at me. I think you're missing the point, Valen. I kind of can't afford to unless I touch Valerian's money, which I don't want to do. And I don't know how much they have, but anything will help with the rebuild, and the money will only be going back into the hotel until we can open, and I would hand it back. I know that, but my condition is either I buy it off you, or you give it to them and let me cover the rest of the cost. I tell her. No. I don't want your money, and Macy and Zoe wouldn't agree to that anyway. They would think they owe you. What is with these girls and settling debts and even gifts? Then split it 4 ways. We don't need their money, Everly, and they are like your sisters. You 3 built it. I can get contracts drawn up so they know I can't interfere with the hotel. I will merely be an investor but hold no control, I tell her. Once Valerian comes of age, I can transfer any title I have to his name, I tell her. Just let me ask the girls first, she says, and I nod. I would rather she take the money, but she is too headstrong. Maybe I could speak to the girls and get them to convince her. The way I see it, they helped build it to the way it is. They should have equal shares. Besides, they may not believe or think it, but I owed them for being there when I wasn't. So if this helps them and clears my guilty conscience, it is a win-win. Pulling up at the accountant's, my father was there waiting already, and Everly climbed out of the car and waved to him. I grab the box of files off the back seat when the back door opens, and Everly snatches a pink folder off the back seat. I can take it, she shakes her head, making me confused. What had she done that she didn't want me to see? She almost looked embarrassed. When she closed the door, my father hugged her, and I could tell he was tickled pink about her pregnancy. John also met us, and we all walked into the accountant's office, along with my accountant that arrived at the same time. Not that I didn't trust John's accountant, but I wanted to be sure. We moved into a room with a huge oval mahogany desk, and I took a seat next to Everly, who was clutching the pink folder. The accountants start chatting among themselves and going over paperwork while my father has a silly smirk on his face as he stares at her. Turning slightly in my chair, Everly's eyes go to his, and her lips part. You know, she asks, and he nods once. Honestly, it is something Valerie would have done, he chuckles, and the room falls silent as everyone looks between my father and Everly. The door swings open, and Everly shrinks down in her seat as her accountant walks in. Joseph, my father says in acknowledgement. My eyes narrow at my father and Joseph smiles and sits next to Everly. He squeezes her hand. I had no idea who he was, but she said he would be here. Joseph, this Valen, Everly says, and he nods. Nice to meet you. Your mother was a wonderful woman, he says. You knew my mother? Yes. I was her lawyer. Everly kept me on after she passed, he says, and I swallow, trying to figure out what was going on. All the accountants talk, trying to find the best approach to deal with Alpha John's pack, which was now technically mine and Everly's. But Everly didn't want to take control off him completely, which shocked me. Instead, her father would be running things. You still want me to run the pack? John asks. Yes. Your nightshade pack, I have my hotel and Luna stuff. You know the pack, I may be their alpha now, but it's still your home. What's the catch? John asks. For starters, no gambling. And you don't handle finances. Joseph will. And you answer to Valen now, she says, and my eyebrows raise. The room falls silent, and you can hear a pin drop. It was so quiet. Everyone looks at John, waiting to see what he says. Our packs have been rivals for decades, and I didn't expect him to agree. Okay, but can we please see Valerian? Claire has been asking every day, and Everly won't bring him to see us unless you say so, John tells me, and Everly looks at me. I know she was trying to make up for not telling me of the pregnancy by letting me decide that, but I knew she secretly wanted her parents in her life. Despite having their differences, she still loved them. Everly was just no longer a child and had no problem cutting people out of her life now. She didn't have time for the bullshit. You want this? I ask her, and she nods. Valen, they are her parents, Dad mind links. I sigh and nod. Fine. But, if he doesn't want anything to do with you, you won't force a relationship with my son or our babies, I tell him, and he nods and lets out a breath. Wait, babies? As in more than one? John blurts, and I pale. We were trying to keep that on the down low for now. Yes, Dad. I am having triplets, Everly admits. John gapes at her before regathering himself like he was doing the math in his head on the diaper changes. Can I tell your mother? She is going to love this. More grandbabies, she will be so excited, John says, seemingly quite happy about this information. Yes. Yes. I agree to your terms, John says, and I raise an eyebrow at his enthusiasm when my father mind links me again. He probably saw the look on my face. I was about to demand the reason for his sudden change of heart toward his daughter. Valen, leave it, Dad says. What? He wants to pick and choose whose kids' lives he will be in? Where was the bastard when Valerian was born? I tell my father, watching John. No. I get it. Dad says. Get what? I snap through the link. Everly looks over at me, probably feeling my sudden anger. He is trying to make up for his mistakes. He can't go back in time to fix things with his daughter, but he can with your kids. Just like I am doing with you and Everly. That is what I get, Valen. You don't have to trust him straight off, but let him. Everly is a smart girl. She isn't someone that will let someone hurt her twice, Dad says when I feel Everly squeeze my hand under the table. I nod to my father, and he turns his attention back to the accountants. Dad brought a few of the businesses himself to get rid of the debts, those he thought would be suitable investments. A heap was going to be put up for sale, but Everly made it clear they were not to be PAC bought and would sell to PAC members or even sold to any of the rogues. Yet that still left the debt to Nixon and also a backlog of debt from PAC loans. Some I would sort out, but John really buried the PAC deep and was stupid enough to take out loans from human banks that were out of state, which would be the biggest issue. You should have enough to cover those debts if you sell the land off without touching the trust fund. Joseph whispers to her. My father snickers to himself, and Everly glances at me nervously. What trust fund? And what land? She owns the hotel and its land. She was a rogue. She couldn't have purchased land within the city, only inherited it, I ask, confused. Rogues didn't own in this city once the PACs took over. So my mother wouldn't have been able to purchase once the PACs moved into the city and put the laws in place. Correct. Everly couldn't buy more land within the city. And the trust fund is Valerian's. Half the money your mother gave her is in that trust. Everly set it aside for him. Everything else went on the land she brought and into the hotel, Joseph says, and now everyone in the room was looking at her. Joseph wore the same smirk my father had, and Everly looked like she wanted to run from the room. I was mad at you and you, she said, looking at her father. Okay, now I was intrigued. Spill. What have you done? I ask her, but she presses her lips in a line. It is actually pretty funny. Checkmate, Dad laughs. It is kind of funny. Well, Macy, Zoe, and I thought it was anyway, Everly laughs. Okay, can someone tell me what is going on? I ask, and John also leans forward, but my father is the one that answers. Since she was rogue, she couldn't purchase within city limits, he says. I know that, I tell my father. Nothing says she couldn't purchase the land outside of the city, Dad laughs. John and I look at each other. I own all the forsaken lands, she chuckles, and Dad laughs. You what? I asked. Remember when we initially were all looking for a treaty agreement and we're looking at purchasing outside the city limits to start mining by the mountains? Dad asks. Yes. None of the packs could purchase the land. The Werewolf Council said it was a forsaken habitat. I answer, what a complete waste of time that was, months of planning only to not be able to purchase the land. I checked into that, and it was already bought, Dad says. Wait, you knew the land couldn't be bought and didn't tell me? At the time, I knew it would lead you back to Everly and your mother, so no, I never said anything, Dad admits. So you own all the vacant land at the back of my pack to the mountains? I ask her, and she snickers. No, she answers. She owns all the land outside the city borders, behind every pack, Joseph laughs. Wait, how much land is that? I asked. Enough to build an entire city on. Your mother was a very wealthy woman. Before her father started selling it off, they owned nearly all the state, and Everly brought a sizable chunk back, Dad laughs. But why would you want all the land? John asks her. So no one could grow their packs, I grit out, and Everly laughs. Not one of the packs could extend their border limits because I owned it. So technically, when you all did your border patrols, you were all trespassing on my land, she chuckles. You cunning little. I growl and shake my head. As I said, I was angry. So I purchased all the vacant land outside the city, spanning all around the city limits. All that empty farmland is mine and Valerian's. With the city becoming overcrowded, I knew the packs would want to buy into that land. I made sure they couldn't, she laughs. You are why we couldn't purchase the land for mining. I growl at her. That was a big deal 3 years ago. So that is why Nixon couldn't build that mall, her father laughs, and she nods. Every pack looked into why the Werewolf Council wouldn't sell the land. Said it had an anonymous buyer and was for the preservation of the forsaken habitat. We thought they were being jerks since they weren't part of the city, John laughs. Wait, you stopped my skate rink idea, her father growls, pointing an accusing finger at her. Yeah, and the subdivision I was planning out the back of the reserve. I said I was angry, Everly says. Angry? You plotted behind every pack and bought out their land. I tell her. Smart, my father says. Or stupid. What if the packs found out? I ask her. They would have killed me. But at the time, I didn't care, and I just wanted to hit back at the packs. They owned the city. I just made sure they couldn't extend it, she says, folding her arms across her chest. No wonder she refused to let me pay. After going over her books and assets alone, she trumped everyone here. She owned more land than all of us. Had more money and net worth than anyone in the room. It astounded me and, quite frankly, it was a little intimidating. We were all played by one little rogue who outsmarted all of us. Dad was right, checkmate. She had us all by the balls, and not one of us knew it.
Everly's POV.
2 weeks later. Everly, wake up. You're late again, Valen says, shaking me out of my deep sleep. A growl escapes, and I tug my pillow over my head. He growls, ripping the heavy drapes open and flooding the room with light that seared my eyeballs from their sockets. Everly, up. Valen growls, ripping the blanket off me. My eyes felt like sandpaper, and I was so damn exhausted. No matter how early I went to bed, I always woke up feeling like crap, and it didn't help that he watched me like a damn hawk. And wouldn't allow me any coffee, making me question if that was an addiction. I usually had 2 before I even did the school run, and now no caffeine has resulted in me becoming a zombie. No, leave me! I whined. Valerian was 10 minutes late yesterday and today. The tantrum I just dealt with was insane. Now up. You were supposed to do the school runs the last 2 days, and on both days, he couldn't wake you, and I had to come home. I'm tired, I told him, reaching blindly for the blanket that he'd tugged away. Up, he says, slapping my backside and earning a growl. Why? I whined. Because it is time to get up. He snaps. Time for you to get up. I don't have to be anywhere, I growl. It was my day off. I wanted to sleep. Valen growls and storms out of the room, and I snuggle beneath my blanket when I wrinkle my nose at the smell of coffee. The smell I couldn't stand sent me running for the bathroom, but damn, did I miss the taste and the energy buzz. The scent grew more potent, and I growled as his scent wafted in from behind me and the pungent aroma of caffeine goodness. I swear if you made that just to make me get up to puke, I would provide the damn vasectomy myself. I snarl before I gasp, my throat burning. It was such an odd reaction to the one thing I loved. Once I threw up, I was good to drink it. Just the initial smell always got to me. Flushing the toilet, I quickly rinsed my mouth while glaring at him in the mirror as I watched him take a sip. He was pushing my limits. I snarled as I stood up while he smiled tauntingly. Be nice, and I may let you drink it, he says. Hand the coffee over, hun, or I feel this mining deal may not go through. I tell him I hear the owner is a real bitch without her morning coffee, and his smile falls. Maybe him knowing now would play to my advantage. When I brought it, I knew if the Pax knew, they would hunt me down and probably kill me, but with Valen and my dad behind me, no one would dare touch me now. You can't blackmail me, and that was my land you brought, Valen tells me. No claims, therefore, no man's land and now my land, I tell him, putting my hands on my hips. I still can't believe you did that, and you nearly started a war between me and Slasher Pack Alpha. I reach for the mug, but he pulls his hand away. That land would make a nice protected reserve, I muse, folding my arms across my chest. He glares at me before cocking his eyebrow at me and not taking his eyes from mine while sipping the coffee. I purse my lips. Maybe I might sell the land right out the back of your territory. Slater, I heard, was looking to extend. I am sure he would offer a good amount for the spot right at the back. Do you know where I am talking about? Where your pack house is, I told him. You wouldn't dare, then you would get yourself in trouble, he says and smirks. It was kind of the intention when I brought it, you know, to cause trouble, and I hear it was quite the headache for the blood alpha, I tell him, and he clicks his tongue. Fine, 1 coffee, 1 Everly. And once that jar is gone now more, it should last you a while, he says. The whole jar? I ask excitedly, and he nods. Deal? He asks, holding out his hand. 2 a day? I retort. 1, he says. 3. 1. 3, and you have a deal, I tell him, and he growls. 2 then, he says, and I smile, shake his hand, and he gives me the cup. I take it excitedly and have a sip before it comes spraying out my mouth as I spit it back in the cup. Valen laughs. What the fuck, Valen? That is not coffee, I snarl. We had a deal, he laughs. And you shook on it. Yes, a deal for coffee. Not whatever the heck that is. Decoff, he says, and I growl. Well, I know never to let you go over a contract. Always verify what you're making a deal on, Luna, Valen laughs. I pull a face at him and flip him the finger behind his back as he walks out. I get dressed, pouting about my coffee fix that was not coffee. Once dressed, I texted Zoe and Macy to see what they were doing since the hotel was under renovations. We had so much spare time on our hands, and it was like the moment we stopped working, all of us crashed and burned. Working 7 days a week for months on end, you don't realize how tired you become until you have 1 day off. The girls agreed to meet up with me for lunch, and before I knew it, I was driving over to the hotel to check everything was remaining on schedule while Valen told me he was going to see his father, who was meeting him at the homeless shelter. Everything seemed to be happening so fast, but it was a drama-free day, which I liked. Valen took care of most of the debts while I waited for my accountant and some agents to sell off some of the land, selling off everything besides the land behind our pack and my father's old pack, and out of spite, I was also keeping the land behind Nixon's. It might come in handy later on. Valen seemed rather shocked about everything, as one would be, but mostly, I knew I had it but never actually thought of doing anything with it. I brought it out of spite, but it may just be what saves us from going under. Valerian's money was locked in a trust until he came of age. I could get it out, but the hoops to jump through would be a pain in the ass. Plus, the thought of touching it sickened me. The day slipped by slowly, and the girls and I went to lunch in the city center. It felt odd being served and not doing the serving. We all looked and felt out of place. People stared and muttered, mainly at Macy because she smelled rogue still. The waiter places our food down in front of us and a tea. Glancing at the waitress. "I think you gave me the wrong one?" I ask her. She smiles apologetically. "I'm sorry, Luna, but..." "Valen," I growled, and she whisked away quickly. I knew that must be Valen's doing, seeing as it was one of his packed cafes we were sitting at. Macy glances around before sliding her cappuccino in front of me and sends me a wink. "I saw nothing, and I think he is being ridiculous over the caffeine thing," she declares. "And cheese," I tell them, glaring at my salad. "Cheese?" Zoe asks. "Yep, listeria, oh, and fish, apparently mercury levels, and since he can't be bothered looking up which fish best to steer clear of, he has banned all fish, oh, and mayonnaise. I will kill him by the end of this pregnancy. Every night he has his nose in a baby book," I say with a roll of the eyes. "Yeah, fuck that," Macy says, and Zoe glances around like she is waiting for him to pounce on me over the coffee Macy gave me. "Have you told Tatum yet?" I asked Macy. She kept avoiding it. Although, she had admitted that he had been hounding her since Tatum found out about my pregnancy, especially now that they had officially moved in with each other. "I will." She sighs, picking at her Caesar salad. Zoe smiles at her sadly. And I felt terrible because I was pregnant with not one baby, but 3, and Macy couldn't have one. "What about you? What's going on with you and Valen?" Macy asks, spearing a piece of lettuce and popping it in her mouth. I knew she was trying to change the subject away from her not telling Tatum, but I would let it slide this once. "Fine, he is super annoying and clingy now, but I was thinking." "Thinking about what?" Zoe asks, biting into her wrap and watching me. Yet it had been nagging at me, and even though we had marked each other and I was Luna of his pack. When I signed the titles the other day, it bothered me that I was using my last name because, technically, the pack on the paperwork were separate packs. "Do you think it would be strange if I proposed to Valen?" I know it is usually the other way around, but my cheeks flush. Macy stops mid-chew to stare at me, her eyes narrow. "Wait, you want to get married? I thought you were against the whole thing, and it's just a piece of paper and blah blah blah," Macy says. "Well, I was, but Valen is handling Dad's pack for me, but he has to run everything past me because technically, I am Alpha." I tell her. Zoe snickers, "And Valen is your Luna," she laughs. I nudge her, but technically whoever held the titles was Alpha, so I was his Luna, and he was mine. And Valerian has his name now, and... Oh my gosh, Everly, if you want to marry him, damn, you don't need to give us a list of reasons why you should, it ain't a business deal. Just admit you want to marry him. Macy says. "So, when are you going to do it?" Zoe asks, and I shrug. "I don't know, I would have to get him a ring first, just saying that sounds so backward." I shake my head. "Why?" Zoe asks and I shrug. It just did, and my face fell. "What?" Macy says. "What if he says no?" That would be mortifying, yet they both looked at me like I was absurd. "He is your mate, nothing more permanent than the mark on your neck, but you think he won't marry you?" Zoe says, shaking her head. "I told you, ladies, we can become non-sexual lesbians if necessary. I will gladly marry you both. If Valen says no. And the same goes for you," she says, nodding to Zoe, and I laugh. "But I ain't eating pussy. I don't even like the look of my own vagina, let alone getting close and personal with either of yours. Valen says no. I'll ditch Tatum and marry ya." "I gotcha, baby girl," she says and winks at me. I laughed. It did sound rather silly that he would say no. I say do it. Besides, you got options. Macy is your backup plan if he says no, Zoe says, snickering before going back to eating her food. We all ate and made small talk before deciding to check out some of the jewelers when we came across one hidden up some side alley. I did not even know this place was here, Zoe says, glancing up at the sign. Dion's Jewelers, I shrug, opening the door and stepping inside to find some rough-looking biker man sitting behind a glass cabinet, glasses perched on the end of his nose as he read something. Tattoos covered his arms, chest, and neck from what I could see poking out from his button-down shirt. He glances at us while we look around. Luna, ladies, what a surprise. What can I do for you today? He asks. She is looking for an engagement ring for her mate, Zoe answers him, peering into the glass displays. He nods, sipping his can of Coke and stepping into the main area where we were before turning to look at Macy. Oh, not me, her. She is going to propose to Alphanovel, Macy tells him, and my cheeks heat. The man coughs on his drink before punching his chest. My eyes widen as he chokes on his drink, and I move to pat him on the back while he gasps. Are you all right? Macy asks him. Went down the wrong hole, Dion gasps, sucking in a breath. I stepped away from him as he cleared his throat. The man was a giant and not what I expected the jeweler to look like. How about I show you a few things, then, he says awkwardly.